What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so before I get into this video, shout out to the brother Eric Levin for once again showing love with a donation to the channel via the Cash App, and basically this is an extension of the question that I did a video of yesterday. And I remember I did a video where he asked me whether or not Scottie Pippen is a top 10 all-time player or top 5 or top 10. And I said, well, I don't think he's top 5 or top 10 player of the 1990s. And I said, well, I don't think he's a top 5 player of the 90s. I think he's a top 10 player of the 1990s. And kind of gave a listing, but the other part of the question was what exactly or what would be my top 10 players of the 1990s. And, I kind of always had a basic idea about who my top 10 players of the 90s were. And I would have to go in this direction. Number one is no brainer, Michael Jordan, 6 NBA championships in the 1990s, the most dominant player of that era, of that decade, and still the consensus GOAT, although you have some nitwits who think otherwise. And number two, I have Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon, who won back-to-back titles in 94 and 95 with the Houston Rockets. In my opinion, he's still the most skilled all-around center, despite what the media wants to push with Jokic. Jokic can't touch Olajuwon when it comes to the defensive end of the floor. You know what I'm saying? And in my opinion, rebounding, Olajuwon's not in Jokic's league when it comes to playmaking and shooting from outside, facilitating in that matter, but pretty much every other aspect of the game, I would say Olajuwon either matches or exceeds Jokic. And I know, well, Jokic got to do anything, but that's just me. Number three, I got Shaq. Now, I went ahead and included Shaq because Shaq went to an NBA Finals in the 1990s. He played most of the 90s, and he was, to me, outside of Hakeem Olajuwon, the most dominant center collectively in the 1990s, especially after 1995, right? Number four, I have Karl Malone, won 2 league MVPs during the decade, 97 and 99, went to 2 consecutive NBA Finals in 97, 98. He's the decade's leading scorer in 1990s, and that should count for something, I know a lot of people have issues with Karl Malone about some of the off-the-court things he has done in his life, but I want these people to show the same energy for Josh Giddey. And since they don't, go to hell. At number 5, I have the Admiral David Robinson. Now, I know we didn't really appreciate David Robinson enough when he played. We called him soft. Little did we know what would come. Man, oh man, oh man. But this guy was built like a truck. The upper body, the shoulders, but what it was is his personality didn't match the exterior, I guess. And for that, we called him soft. But he was, he won a championship and in the decade in the 90s, although he was not the same player after that injury in 1996, I think it was. Won an MVP award in 1995, won a scoring title in 1994. And this guy, before the injury, was a true stat stuffer. You know what I'm saying? Points, rebounds, assists, blocks. And he did a lot, when you think about it, before Tim Duncan with some pretty mediocre Spurs teams. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you look at the 95 Spurs as a whole, you know, he did a lot. I mean, remember his first year with the Spurs, what was it, 89, 90, I think it was? I think he was drafted in 87, but he didn't play at 89. Didn't they make like a 35 game turnaround? And that was pretty much because of him, you know? But yeah, number 6, I got Sir Charles Barkley, pictured here. 1993 MVP, went to the NBA Finals. I still think peak for peak, he was better than Karl Malone, but Malone's longevity and his longevity and stability as far as being productive into his later years, I think edges Barkley out historically. But Barkley was a great player, man. Great rebounder, a great scorer, tremendous efficient player. When it comes to 2-point field goals, he had the same efficiency as Shaq, but only 6'4.5", 250 pounds when he was in shape. But hell, even when he was not in the best of shape, when he was 265, 270, the guy was still going out there. Check out Barkley's stat line against the Lakers in 1999. I think it was a first round series. Barkley, worn down Barkley in that series, averaged 23 and 13. You know what I'm saying? This guy was a beast, man. Underrated facilitator, intense, great player. I made a change from yesterday. Yesterday, I had Pippen ahead of Drexler, but I changed my mind on that one. I changed my mind because I think I was largely clouded by Pippen's 6 championships. And I've always made a rule that championships matter, but you got to look into the context of where and how they won those titles. And Pippen was nowhere near the finals MVP in any of those championship runs. Nowhere near. As a matter of fact, Rodman was closer to being a co-finals MVP in 96 than Pippen. Now, am I saying Pippen wasn't integral? Absolutely, he was integral. But, man, in 5 of those 6 championship runs, clearly Michael Jordan was the best player. And in 96, you know, at best, Michael should have shared it with Rodman, at best. Pippen also had a tendency, and I would say this came in the second three-peat, to offensively falter with the Bulls. Matter of fact, Scottie Pippen, and I know it's like I'm shitting on him, but I'm not, but I'm just speaking facts here. After the 1994, I think it was the first round series against the Hornets, I think it was, in 94. After that series, when Scottie scored like 31 points or something, Scottie Pippen would never score 30 points in another playoff game for the Bulls ever again. Now, he did score 30 with the Rockets, I believe, in 99. But that's amazing. After the 94 first round series, Scottie never scored 30 points again in a playoff game for the Bulls. So I'm telling you, this comes from watching him. Like, great player. But Drexler led Portland to 2 NBA Finals, 1990, 1992. Unfortunately, he went up against the bad boy Pistons the first time, and then the second time he went up against a prime Pippen and Jordan. I know it sounds hypocritical. Well, we should have been Pippen and Jordan, but with Jordan. Yeah, but that Bulls team was in its prime at that time, and those two were in their primes. And a double dose of Jordan, and a duo, I should say, of Pippen and Jordan in their primes, just too much. But Drexler, also, I should say this too. In 1992, Drexler was a finalist for MVP. I don't know if Scottie ever ranked as high as second in MVP voting. Now, I do think I will say this. Scottie was up there. As a matter of fact, number 8, Scottie Pippen, 6-time NBA champion. I think he's one of the top 2 defensive small forwards ever, along with John Havlicek. He's probably the best small defensive. He is the best defensive forward I've ever seen. Like I said yesterday, really no weaknesses. Great in the passing lanes. Great on-ball defender. Great pressure defender. Great one-on-one defender. Um, Offensively, he got better, but his shot was never like elite. Average free throw shooter. A good rebounder. Not a great leader. Could sometimes mentally check out of games, I suspect. Never could quite fill that role of being the guy, right? But Scottie Pippen did have a few top 5 MVP finishes. As a matter of fact, as late as 95, 96, I think he was 5th in MVP voting that year. I think he had like 3 years or 4 years he was top 5 in the MVP voting. That counts for something. So I got Scottie Pippen right there. At number 9, I got John Stockton, the most prolific point guard the game has ever seen. As far as passing, all-time leader in assists. I don't know if he'll ever be seriously passed in that with that record. Steals, he's way out in front, 3,265. I think he had 15,806 assists. One of only 2 players other than Magic Johnson to average double-digit assists for his career. Led the league in assists, I believe, with a record 9 consecutive years. I think from 87, 88 to 95, 96. And holds the records for assists in a game. Assists in a season, assists per game in a season. Probably has more 15 assist games plus in his career than any other player. I never looked that up, but just my common sense tells me that's probably true. And he played the point guard position the way that I think the point guard position should be played, which is why I have an issue with people calling Steph Curry the GOAT point guard, because he doesn't play the point guard position per se. He plays it, but not the definitive traditional point guard role. So it's hard for me to call him that. You know what I'm saying? I probably call him Steph the greatest shooter, but you know, it is what it is. John Stockton was a beast. And number 10, I got Gary Payton, 1996 Defensive Player of the Year winner. Went to the finals in 1996 with that Sonics team that won 64 games. Gary Payton worked his ass off into becoming a good offensive player. Was not a good offensive player starting off in the NBA, very inconsistent offensively initially, but became a great passer, became a good facilitator, if not great. One of the greatest trash talkers, extremely competitive. The first guy that I ever saw that I thought really got under Michael Jordan's skin as a trash talker. You can say Reggie a little bit, but Gary really got under Michael's skin as a trash talker. And if you do that, you really, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, Gary Payton, I would say Gary is one of, if you look at OKC Sonics history, what do you have? You have Kevin Durant, you have Russell Westbrook, you got Gary Payton, and depending upon what happens this year, especially go to the finals, you got Shea. He's one of the 4 greatest Sonics / Thunder that we've ever seen. And also, Gary Payton is one of the only 2 players to really give John Stockton problems. The other one being Magic Johnson. And they both had so much respect for one another, John Stockton and Gary Payton. So that's my list for 10 greatest players in 1990s. It might be different from yours. Doesn't mean I'm right. Just my opinion. Let me tell me what you guys think.